updates there. We do want to update you now on breaking news we've been following out of Brooklyn. Dozens of bodies were found in U-Haul trucks outside of a funeral home in the Flatland section. Police were called after neighbors say that they noticed a foul smell. News 4's Ida Siegel live on the scene with what we're learning now, Ida.
Yeah, Natalie, that funeral home behind me here on Utica Avenue, it's been blocked off since 11:30 this morning. Investigators still on scene here. Some of them we've seen wearing hazmat suits. Their focus is on that U-Haul truck parked outside the Andrew T. Checkley funeral home, because according to police sources, the funeral home was using the U-Haul to move bodies. Sources say the funeral home was overwhelmed with bodies as of late and did not have enough refrigerated space inside the building. And so today they attempted to move as many as 50 bodies. It's unclear how many of them had been put inside that unrefrigerated U-Haul truck when police arrived. But police say they were called to the scene, as you reported, because neighbors witnessed it happen and complained of a foul smell. Police say there is no criminality involved, though it's unclear where the funeral director was taking the bodies. And this scenario is consistent with our reporting that funeral homes in Brooklyn and Queens specifically have been overwhelmed with bodies since the COVID outbreak. Families have had to wait 2 and 3 weeks to lay their loved ones to rest. Folks in the neighborhood say the situation at this funeral home has been going on for quite a while. We caught up with the Brooklyn Borough President on scene here. He called the situation unacceptable and said it was endemic of a larger problem.
This is going to traumatize this entire community, that you had a U-Haul and a trailer full of bodies on a popular roadway. This is a very traumatizing impact that's going to go far beyond coronavirus.
The borough president says he's convening a bereavement committee on Monday. They hope to meet with the medical examiner to discuss this issue and many other issues. The ME's office has told us that they do have weekly phone calls with funeral directors around the city. Unclear if they were in touch with this particular funeral director. But again, no criminality involved, according to police. However, they could be subject to fines from the health department. That's the very latest reporting live from Flatlands. Ida Siegel, News 4, New York.
All right, Ida, thank you for that. I want to go now to the latest, the headlines on the pandemic. We are seeing some progress in the epicenter here in New York. All major indicators are down. The state reports the lowest single-day death toll all month at 330 people. Here in the city, officials hope to antibody test 150,000 healthcare workers and first responders within a month. The city is also joining forces with the Department of Defense to train 1,000 people in combat stress management to help our frontline workers. And this week, 1,000 homeless people will be moved from city shelters into hotels to reduce density. Now, they plan to continue that each week. This comes as the number of cases in the tri-state has surpassed 442,000. Sadly, the death toll has reached 26,874.
12 mourners are in trouble with the law today for what they are accused of doing during this rabbi's funeral last night in Brooklyn. The NYPD issued them each a summons for failure to practice social distancing in Williamsburg. Jewish groups are upset, saying the de Blasio administration is imposing a double standard that targets their religion. News 4's Miles Miller is live in Williamsburg with the story for us. Miles?
Well, Chuck, Rabbi Chaim Mertz's family tells us that they are simply upset about what happened here. They say they simply did not think all these people would show up, and they are sorry about what happened. The scene in Williamsburg last night, thousands of Satmar Jews gathering for the funeral of a prominent rabbi, drawing a rapid response by the NYPD, and sharp words today from the commissioner.
It better not happen again. It can't. It is, again, we can talk about this till the cows come home. It doesn't get any crystal clearer than this for me. You are putting my cops' lives at risk, and it's unacceptable.
The tough talk coming as Mayor Bill de Blasio doubled down on his Twitter condemnation, which he fired off after having his security detail drive him to the scene.
I could not believe my eyes. It was deeply, deeply distressing.
The funeral was for Rabbi Chaim Mertz, who Reuters reports died of complications from COVID-19. And the mayor was criticized by some for singling out the Jewish community.
We want him to retract his statement.
Ronald Lauder is the president of the influential World Jewish Congress, which is calling for a censure of the mayor. But the synagogue where the funeral took place sought to tamp down that controversy, saying today, "We understand the mayor's frustration and his speaking out against the gathering. We thought the procession would be in accordance with the rules, and we apologize that it turned out otherwise." As the controversy shines a light on concerns over social distancing in this community, where many still gather in large groups, police were seen today telling residents to separate at this supermarket.
I think people every day are getting more understandable what social is all about.
Leaders here tell me that future funerals will likely go virtual. They will still have the 10 men necessary to form a minyan, which is part of the Jewish law. But they say in the future, those funerals likely to go online so that everybody who is out in the streets to show their support and their love for the rabbi who died will be able to do the same kind of thing virtually. We're live in Williamsburg. I'm Miles Miller, News 4 New York.
All right, Miles, thank you. We want to talk about the homeless situation on the subway. Today, the NYPD moved people experiencing homelessness from 10 subway stations. Some of them were taken to shelters, and it all comes as Governor Cuomo is calling on the MTA to come up with a plan to disinfect every single train every night.
A Brooklyn man's accused of stealing stimulus checks out of mailboxes. Police say that Feng Cheng swiped 9 checks over about a week. A check taken from an apartment mailbox on 45th Street was for $2,400. A person called the police to say they saw Cheng going through the mailboxes. Officers arrested Cheng on 54th Street and say he had stimulus checks and stolen credit cards in his pockets. The 31-year-old faces federal charges.
The state of New Jersey continues to show encouraging signs tonight. Major indicators have seen 2 weeks of declines, but cases and the number of deaths are still rising. The state added 329 deaths and almost 2,500 confirmed cases since yesterday. This as Governor Murphy announced today the reopening of golf courses and state parks starting this weekend. Parking will be limited to 50%, and public spaces like playgrounds, pavilions, visitor centers, and restrooms will still stay closed. But we did just learn here in the past half hour that 6 mayors have decided to keep their parks closed out of concerns for public safety. This will affect municipal parks in Hoboken, Union City, Gutenberg, West New York, North Bergen, and Weehawken as well, Chuck.
In Connecticut tonight, officials say the number of people hospitalized with the coronavirus is down for the 7th consecutive day. Still, Governor Lamont reported 79 new deaths since yesterday and 445 new cases. And even though Fairfield County still leads the state in cases and deaths, Hartford and New Haven counties are catching up.
Now we know that we're in certain neighborhoods that are more densely packed, Bridgeport, Hartford in particular, where you see the infection rate and the hospitalization rate going up the fastest.
If hospitalizations keep dropping statewide, Lamont says he might soon reevaluate some of Connecticut's current social distancing guidelines and consider reopening some non-essential businesses.